You know, we're always told that being smart is all about having a high IQ or maybe just knowing a ton of facts. But what if I told you that the kind of intelligence that gives you real, quiet power has almost nothing to do with any of that? Well, today, we're going to dive into what that actually looks like.
So let's just start with a question you've probably asked yourself a million times. You see someone who's supposed to be brilliant, fancy degrees, great job, but the second the pressure is on, they just crumble, or they make these obviously terrible decisions. It just doesn't add up, right? And right there, that feeling, that's our starting point for understanding a completely different kind of intelligence.
And this is the core idea, the whole shebang right here. Being truly smart, truly effective isn't about how much you know. It's about how you see things. It's all about shifting your perspective to tap into this calm, quiet power that works without ever needing to raise your voice.
All right, so where do we start? Well, the very first mental shift is a big one. It's about completely changing the entire purpose of our conversations.
And wow, this slide really lays it all out, doesn't it? For most of us, when we get into a disagreement, we treat it like a fight. The goal is to win, to prove we're right, to dominate. But the power approach, it flips that script entirely. Your goal isn't to win, it's just to understand. When you start asking questions and you just stay curious, you're not attacking anymore, you're exploring.
And this quote, man, it just nails it. The second you stop trying to defeat someone in an argument, you know what happens? Their walls come down. They actually start talking, and that's when you get to what's really going on. See, understanding is the real victory here, because it leads to clarity, not just someone with a bruised ego.
Okay, let's move on to the second big shift. This one builds right on top of that idea of perspective, and it's all about how we deal with things when they inevitably go wrong.
So the difference here is everything. On the one hand, you've got the soap opera view. This is where one little mistake feels like the end of the world. It's personal, it's dramatic, and you spiral. But with the system view, that exact same failure, it's just data, it's feedback. You stop asking what's wrong with me and you start asking, okay, what part of the system broke? And that right there is how the most effective people just keep getting better.
Okay, now this next one, it's just a simple question, but it might be one of the most powerful tools you have for protecting your energy. Think of it like a little filter for every problem, every frustration that comes your way. It helps you focus only on the things you can actually do something about.
And here's exactly how that plays out. Think about how much energy we burn, stressing about stuff we have zero control over. Traffic, the news, what other people think about us. It's exhausting. Truly powerful people are absolutely ruthless with their focus. If they can influence it, they act. If they can't, they consciously, intentionally let it go. You know that calm, centered energy you see in them? This is where it comes from.
All right, our next two mental shifts are actually a pair. They're very closely related, and they're both about the incredible power of what you don't do, starting with the pause.
I want you to think about that for a second. In a really tense meeting or a difficult conversation, who has the real power? It's almost always the person who is totally comfortable with silence, the one who doesn't feel that frantic need to jump in and fill every single gap. That's the person who seems more thoughtful, more in control.
Let's be honest. Most of us are deeply uncomfortable with silence. We get anxious. We'll say pretty much anything just to break that tension. But when you learn to own the silence, you create space. It's space for you to think, space to really listen, and maybe most importantly, space to see all the things everyone else is missing in their hurry to talk.
And this flows right into our fourth big shift, observing before you react. Our default setting, our gut instinct, is to react instantly when someone provokes us. The real power move is to just insert a tiny pause. That's it. Just breathe. Watch for a second. That little moment gives you incredible leverage and lets you act with purpose, not just raw emotion.
So, what happens when you start putting all these pieces together? Well, when you combine these individual shifts, they create something truly amazing. A mindset that is resilient, powerful, and pretty much unshakable.
So here it is, your path to mastery laid out nice and simple. Every one of these is a habit you can practice. Ask questions instead of trying to win arguments. Zoom out to see the system instead of panicking. Let go of what you can't control. Learn to embrace the silence and always, always observe before you react. This is your toolkit.
And the really cool thing is, this kind of power is available to literally everyone. You don't need a PhD, you don't have to be a CEO, and you for sure don't need to be the loudest person in the room. It just comes down to a conscious decision to start practicing these new mental habits. And that's what this is all about, really. When everyone else around you is reacting, panicking, and arguing, you become the calm, clear-headed one. You become the anchor in the middle of all the chaos. And let me tell you, that is a truly unforgettable, quiet kind of power.
So, as we wrap this up, I want you to just take a second and think. Did any of this really hit home for you? Did one of these shifts feel like a piece of the puzzle you've been missing?
If something in here resonated, please take a moment to subscribe and like this explainer. And if you're ready to start practicing this quiet power yourself, I'd love for you to comment "Power of Silence" down below. Thanks so much for joining me.